I am pumped. You can see it in my face. You can feel my energy. I got my boy Andrew Salop from the Combos Corp podcast, the #1 podcast in the world. I'm going to say it right now, bro. Your shit is going to blow up, and I'm excited to have you on. I'm a big fan of the show. How you doing? How you feeling? No more Summer League, man.
Leo, that's a crazy intro, man. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate that. Man, it was great chopping it up with you in person. I didn't even know it was you through the mask, even though I should have knew because of the beard.
Facts.
But we definitely got to chop it up, talk Kings basketball, talk Summer League basketball, and I'm happy to be here on your show. You're one of the hardest workers in the business, and you're always putting out that great content, so I really appreciate being here, man.
That means a lot, brother. So pretty much on this show, on this episode today, we're just going to focus on what we thought about the overall Summer League. We'll talk about our big boards, which I'm super curious to hear. At least your top 7. That way I kind of gauge on who you were high on and if whether or not some of these prospects lived up to your expectations, at least in Summer League. But before we do all that, man, I'm trying to show some people right here on YouTube some amazing food I saw on your story, bro. I mean, what type of meal is this? Because it looks delicious, bro. Seriously.
I think one was red snapper and one was lobster spaghetti.
Lobster spaghetti. Holy smokes. This looks amazing.
Yeah, Nasa Taverna, Astoria, New York. Leo, when you pull up, we'll definitely pull up to Nasa Taverna.
You're paying. Because that looks expensive.
Let's do it. You know what? In New York, I'll pay. When I get out to Sacktown,
Facts. I got you. I got you, man. That looks great. And I also want to show a picture or a screenshot from SB Nation earlier. They tweeted out a story, and they had 13 top rookies of Summer League. And guess guess who didn't make the list?
Don't tell me Scottie Barnes.
Davion Mitchell.
Oh, Davion Mitchell should have made that list.
Bro,
yeah,
he had Miles Bridges at 13, Scottie Barnes at 12, Sharif Cooper at 11.
Scottie Barnes at 12?
Yeah. He had Bones Highland at 10, Alperen Sengun at 9, Trey Murphy 8, Cam Thomas 7, Evan Mobley, Chris Duarte, Jalen Suggs, etc. How are you not going to have the co-MVP on the top 13?
Yeah, when I watched Davion play, he just jumped off the court. Like, here's how I'll explain it for you, Leo, and your listeners. If you took somebody that never watched basketball and you took them to Summer League, the first person they would ask about is Davion Mitchell. Be like, who is that guy? Because his effort and his motor just jumped off the court. There's no way he shouldn't be in the top 12.
100%. Who is your biggest overachiever? Let's call it.
Ooh. Let's go box office here. Let's go somebody that everybody's gonna know about. Jello, man. Jello was great.
Wow.
You know, Jello was a guy that a lot of people were doubting, but he showed that he belonged, at least in Summer League. I would say that he probably has to move his feet a little bit quicker to play at the NBA level. But if LaMelo is that star that we think he could be, he might have that Giannis effect, and Jello might be in the league soon, so who knows? But I would say, Jello's up there. Who would you say?
I'm not mad at that because I expected nothing but that first game. It was Hornets. It was Hornets Blazers, right? And LeVar Ball literally touched me on my shoulder and he said, "Big baller on the way. Get out the way." And I was like, "Holy smokes! Why is this dude here, right?" And then I'm thinking to myself, "There's no way LaMelo Ball is playing." So we're entering. There's this big fuss. There's this big vibe into the building. And I'm like, well, maybe people are as high as I am on James Bouknight. Wrong. They were there to watch Liangelo Ball. I was in shock. I didn't even know he was on the team, to be honest with you. I saw LaMelo on the court, cheering on his brother. And I was like, no way are all these people here to watch Jello. And they were, bro, because they were cheering for Jello. They were asking for Jello to go into the game. And then he shoots that first shot, and then they just go berserk. That was one of the craziest things I've seen. And it just comes to show, if you have a big social media following, how powerful that can be.
Yeah, I'm with you. And on top of that, the social media following is great. And I think all three brothers don't get enough credit for how hard they work on their game because they all improved and they all improved and they all stepped up at every level they played at. We never seen any of them look actually bad at any level. You know, they always stepped up, always played well, no matter where they played, and they're all improving at a pretty rapid rate. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, let's move on to who was your top 7 on your big board, because that's where we'll stem off the next conversation.
All right, so I know the top 5 for sure.
For sure, let's go top 5.
Yeah, for sure was for me, and I didn't think this is how the draft would go, actually, but it did go that way, and it's documented on my Instagram.
Okay.
I thought it was Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scottie Barnes, and Jalen Suggs, and that's how it went. Me personally, if I was Houston, and I didn't think this was going to happen, I would have drafted Scottie Barnes. But I don't think a lot of people.
So
agree.
Scottie Barnes was so Scottie was your second best player on your big board, right?
He was not, but I know you usually go with best available instead of fit, but I really liked him in Houston, and I know you don't want to build around Christian Wood and KPJ, but I kind of like that fit together. So I would have drafted Scottie Barnes at number 2, but he wasn't necessarily my second best prospect, if that makes sense. I know that's a lot to unpack there.
Well, yeah. So I always break it down as what is my mock draft? What do I think teams will do, right? Based on fit, based on what I think they're going to do in terms of intel and what I know. And then it's what's Leo's big board. Like, if I was a GM, how would I rank certain prospects? That's how I did it.
So I'll tell you right away that I put my big board out and the top 5 guys, I tweaked it slightly the second time. And then a few months later, that's how the draft went, to be honest.
Okay.
So that's
how
interesting. It went. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Scottie Barnes. Let's talk about Scottie Barnes, which is who I believe is the second best player in this draft. I'm not high on him. I'm amazed by him and what he could potentially do. What do you think Scottie Barnes' true potential in the NBA is?
A superstar, to be honest. I mean, first of all, he's an NBA-ready defender. Second of all, he has great feel for the game. He has NBA length.
100%.
The swing skill is shooting, and he proved in summer league he's a willing shooter. It didn't look bad. I think it'll get better. Mm-hmm. And he has potential to be the best player in this draft. Jalen Green has that potential. Cade Cunningham has that potential, but Scottie Barnes is right up there with them.
Talking about his shooting, bro, I was watching him in that warm-up line, and I'm thinking to myself, jump shot looks good. There's nothing that the Raptors have to restructure, I would say. Maybe some tinker here, tinker there.
Right.
And they have proven to take guys like OG and Pascal Siakam, who are also non-shooters, into really good shooters now. I don't see why they can't do that with Scottie Barnes, who, as far as I know, is a willing worker, great charisma, and just a great teammate, right? And then on 100%. Top of that, 6'9", 7'3" wingspan, that just fits perfectly with the Toronto Raptors and what they want to do. And then on top of that, he has that, he said he looked up to Magic Johnson. I wouldn't go as far and say he has that type of playmaking, but he has something similar to where at his size, his playmaking ability is pretty damn good. And it's going to help him a lot because they asked him, what is your best position? Or at least, what are you most comfortable? He said everywhere, but if I had to choose, he said point guard. And that's a big-ass point guard to me, man. And that's a guy that has a high feel. I can see other plays. And something that wasn't talked about enough was his post-up game, I would say, going into the draft. And in Summer League, I saw at least 4 or 5 times where out of the post, he was super aggressive. They collapsed, and he found the weak side cutter, which was a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And you mentioned it, the charisma. I think he has that effect that just makes everybody around him better on the court, off the court. He has that energy. And I think he has that energy that nothing against Evan Mobley that Evan Mobley doesn't really have. You know, that motor, that thing that makes everybody around you really want to play hard. And I think Scottie Barnes has that. And obviously everything you said, I agree with 100%.
So I saw Evan Mobley. I wasn't left impressed. And that's why I had him number 6, and a lot of people thought I was crazy on my big board. That's
interesting. I wouldn't say you're crazy, but that is interesting. And I would say why that's interesting is that nobody was really talking about Evan Mobley's weaknesses. Like
Facts.
For the whole time leading up to the draft, everybody wanted to talk anything they could think about Cade, a guy who doesn't really have any glaring weaknesses. We just tried to find stuff about him. It was a little weird to me.
Oh, 100%. And I had Sengun my second big right after him at number 7. I am shocked that he went number 16, and I'm shocked that the Kings didn't offer the exact same deal that Houston did, which was 2 very protected future first-round picks. And I know that he had a good workout with the Kings, but how the hell did he bypass the Spurs? Like, how are you going to draft Primo at 12 when Sengun is right there? This guy, like, if you built like a lab of players, he was meant to be a Spur. And they just passed on him. And I just can't believe it. What did you think about Sengun?
Yeah, in my mock draft I had on my podcast, he went 12 to the Spurs. So it's pretty interesting you said that. Yeah, he was great, man. And he's like going to be a character. Kind of like how I know everybody wants to make the comparisons with Jokic, but you know how Jokic does some funny things around the court.
Right.
Sengun was doing the same type of stuff with the splits. Yeah, all that talking to the ball. And obviously his feel for the game is incredible. So skilled. I would compare his work in the post to Kyrie's work on the perimeter in the sense that he's a savant down there. Like, he has stuff you can't teach. He has counters on top of counters, and it's hard to really work on what he does. He's just kind of like a savant down there. Now, I would say he gravitates to the post more than I would like probably in the modern NBA, but I think he's good enough to a point where he's that good where if he wants to go in the post and you got 4 shooters around him, I think it could work.
So you played overseas.
Yeah.
Explain to me how a guy like him at 18 years old, MVP in arguably the 3rd best league in the world, goes number 16, right? He's known to have good workouts leading up to the draft. Like, what were these scouts and GMs thinking? Oh, and the craziest part is they can't use age as an excuse. He is arguably one of the youngest players in the draft. So from an upside perspective, he has more upside still to improve on, and he's already this polished, this good. Why do they keep on sleeping on these? You know, I mean, there's only been 2 MVPs, and that's him and Luka. But why do they keep on sleeping on these type of guys?
Well, I think it's 2 things when it comes to Sengun. I think they felt in the NBA, is he a versatile enough a defender? I don't think the issue was ever offense with him. He showed at Summer League that he's pretty smart on offense, and his feet aren't as bad as we thought. So that issue doesn't seem to be that big of a problem. We'll see on that one. I think the second thing is when it comes to international prospects is that GMs are watching March Madness more than they're watching international basketball. And the thing is, if you miss on a guy that was great in college basketball, you're more likely to get fired or have negative media attention than if you miss on an international guy.
That's true. But I just can't justify it, man. Again,
no, I'm
there's
saying
just
that's
no
the
way.
reason.
Yeah. Like I agree with you. It's just at this age to be that polished, that productive already, and I kind of understand your point of yes, he's not the best defender, but if you feel like he's a very smart offensive player, I don't see why they can't translate in a team concept defensively wise, right? And then if you surround him with good perimeter defenders, you can take a lot of the weaknesses away. Just look at Jokic. You know what I'm saying? So why can it work? He showed that he was a very good passer on tape. He went to the Summer League. He showed all those things. And again, as you said, his feet were better, but that's not a reason for me not to take him in the top 12. Like, that's pretty silly to me. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, they're lost.
I think you have it right, and I think we were on the same page when it comes to Luka. But NBA decision makers could look at it the other way, that there was a bunch of busts from international basketball and overseas, so they could look at all those guys and guys who didn't pan out, and they could think that they're one of those guys, you know. So it could go either way, but you were spot on when it comes to Sengun.
So let's talk about the other guy, and that's Josh Giddey. I know he had a initial dunk. He had people hyped, and then he got injured with his ankle. Yeah. What would you make of it, and were you shocked that he went number 6?
Yeah, I was up close and personal for that game, and I actually was – I didn't have my camera out too much. I was trying to be in the moment for Summer League.
Yep.
But that play, I'm like, let me catch the first play of this game. And it was a dunk by Josh Giddey. It was pretty good content for the gram, you know what I mean? But then it was over, and I really wanted to see that matchup between him and Cade. Josh Giddey is another guy with great feel for the game. Jump shot is a little bit slow, and I think that's something he could work on. But I think he's going to be a very good player in the NBA. I like his game. He has an underrated finishing package. He got all kinds of floaters and stuff, and I like him. I like his game. I was surprised that he went that high. I was surprised Primo went that high, as you said. Those were two of like the surprises of the early part of this draft. But I love his feel for the game, and he has really good size. It's shown on that court that he was a big dude playing that guard position.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of Bones Highland, and you just mentioned slow release point with Josh Giddey. Do you feel like that was a big reason for Highland not to be as rated that highly? Because when I watched him, yes, he could score from like all three levels, but I felt like his jump shot was a little bit too slow, and being 6'3" could have some issues at the NBA level.
No, I wasn't concerned because he had two things working for him. He has a great first step, first of all, and he has range, second of all. So that gives you a lot more space to do what you want to do. The thing I loved about Bones Highland's game, and I was on him before I even saw him on draft boards, and I was kind of like wondering, like, why isn't this guy even in the second round on draft boards? He seems like a first-round prospect to me. But he's just a guy who's dynamic, and he's an ISO scorer that gets his game off quick, which is something I really like. He's not going to hurt the continuity or flow of an offense. And he could make plays. Like, he could fill in that point guard position. He played at VCU, so he plays some defense. And he just has that flash. He has a crazy finishing package. I just think no matter what court on the world, he's kind of like Cam Thomas is the same way. No matter where you put him in the world, he's going to get buckets.
So that's how I felt about Trey Mann. Trey Mann was in my top 10 on my big board, best players in the draft. And a lot of people slept on him, but what I saw was just a guy who has a great floater package, insane range, right? He can shoot it from anywhere, 6'5", has a nice crossover. Obviously not a good defender, but you can work with those type of things if you're that good offensively. And he's not a Trey Young passer with that, left-hand skip pass to the weak side type guy yet, but I was kind of like, I was happy and in the sense that, that GM for the Thunder ended up taking him, and it kind of validated my process of how I evaluate guys in the sense that feel IQ, shooting like skill over supreme athleticism, and I felt like Presti saw the same thing, and when he drafted him number 18, and so many people had him like, late first, early second, I was like, okay, I'm on the right track, which is kind of like a cool moment for me, knowing that we kind of saw like the same things. And he talked about how high he was on his personal draft and that he was shocked that he was there available at 18. But what did you think about Trey Mann coming into this process?
Yeah, I didn't have him as high as you did, but he obviously proved that guy could play the game. I think the shooting is even better than I thought, right? From what we've seen in Summer League. I really liked what he did there. Top 10, wow. So what notable guard did you have him over?
So I had James Bouknight at number 4.
Okay. I like Bouknight, so I was gonna say I would have Bouknight over him for sure.
Yeah, so I had Bouknight number 4, Scottie Barnes number 2.
Wait, who was your top 5? Because I would say Bouknight would probably be my 6th. Like I wanted him to go to the Warriors. I thought that would be a great pick for them. Obviously, they didn't go in that direction. But who was your top 5?
So I had Cade number 1, Scottie number 2, Jalen Green number 3, Bouknight number 4, Suggs number 5, Mobley number 6, Sengun number 7.
That's a good. Yeah, I like it.
I mean, it's different, but again, I gravitate towards guys who can potentially be productive right away and are super skilled. They can either shoot, dribble or pass. I feel like my 3 surprises, obviously being Sengun, Scottie, and Bouknight, felt like Bouknight's just a bucket, bro. Like if it wasn't for his knee injuries, like he was supposed to go 6 to the Thunder, but I guess there was some concern that when he had
Thunder, that's right.
an ACL going into like his freshman year, like going into his freshman year, he had I think it was an ACL or an MCL, and they might have been concerned, but you were there. Like this guy has no warm-ups on. He's all about his business. He showed that he can defend, which is one of the big knocks on his game. And the other knock was, well, can he shoot a high percentage in the NBA level from beyond the arc? And the answer is yes, because if you're the entire offense, which is exactly what he was at UConn, and you took tough shots, yeah, your percentage won't be high. But when you play around better talent and the way LaMelo Ball is going to hook him up and get him those quality shots, he's going to be a great shooter. And he killed his pro day. So
Yes, he
I'm
did.
just like, how do you let this guy pass? And obviously, in the moment, I was upset that the Kings passed on him. But
Yeah.
I understood why they went Davion, and that was because they were the worst defensive team in NBA history, and they wanted to establish that type of culture there. So it made a lot of sense. Like, I wasn't like mad about it, but I would have, and I still would have taken Bouknight long term. But I'm still very happy with obviously with the co MVP of the summer league.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was surprised they took Mitchell. And I wasn't as high on him as some others. I'm going to be
Where'd you
totally
have him?
honest with you.
I had him 11, which was still high. I mean, I knew he'd
Yeah,
be good.
I probably would have him, and I'd probably have him a little bit outside of lottery, like probably 15, 16.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But when he definitely grew on me when I watched him play in summer league, because I told you, like, the effort, the motor, the shot looks pretty good. Like, I think
His first step is just as good as De'Aaron's, bro.
Oh man,
Like,
yeah,
holy
and
smokes.
he's quick. He's like a running back. Like,
Yeah.
he's quick and strong into the rim, and he's gonna finish. And what I said, like, if you take a guy that doesn't watch basketball, you watch Davion Mitchell play in summer league, that's the first person they're gonna ask about on that court. So I'm definitely higher now than I was before. There was some concerns, like the free throw shooting was bad. He was a little bit older. He was a little bit small. He didn't seem super skilled. So those were my concerns. I think they were legitimate concerns, but hey, not everybody's right 100% of the time. And now I'll admit I'm higher on him than I was before.
So talking about age, and that's always a big topic of discussion on my channel, because I feel like I understand he's 22 years old, and just say somebody like Marvin Bagley, right? Number one player in high school, very coveted. He's 22. I think they were both going into the same class. One guy has 3 years of NBA experience. One guy has 0, right? Like, he's going into his rookie season. Like, oh, they're 22. But one can make the argument that Davion's already better than Marvin Bagley is right now. Like, he's ready to make that impact right now. So my thing is, why do people shit on guys like Lillard, like Mitchell, like CJ, like Buddy, who wait 3-4 years but are extremely productive right off the bat, but yet GMs always want to bypass these guys?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that. And I guess you have a bigger runway when you're younger. But look, I was like really high on Chris Duarte coming into the draft.
Me too.
He was an older guy. I thought he was NBA ready, and he seems to be NBA ready. It was like, it's not just the age. It was just a combination of a lot of things. When it came to I said Donovan. Everybody makes that mistake.
Yep.
To Davion Mitchell, I think people were enamored with him and Suggs because of the NC2A tournament, the NC2A storylines, and not saying those guys weren't good, but some people were saying Suggs number 1 when that was going on. Davion top 5 when that was going on. And I just thought there was just a little bit too much going on with the NCAA storylines, and people weren't actually analyzing the talent. They were kind of thinking about the storylines of NC2A because that's when it's in their face every day. Kind of to your point, with international prospects, we don't see them at all, so they're kind of out of sight, out of mind. But, hey, Davion's proven to be good, and I'm high on him now. Now, I do say I don't know about the fit with him, Tyrese. Who's going to play the 2, who's going to play the 3, and we know who's going to play the point guard, so that's a whole other story. But Davion, he proved to me that guy could play.
But just kind of going back just on this point is, you, as a GM, like, you're wasting essentially, Marvin's first 4 years, we can say, right, of his rookie scale deal. You're not getting the most productive or the most production out of him until that second contract. And by the time he's a second contract, you're against the cap because you have to give this guy anywhere from $15 to $25 million when you could have drafted this NBA-ready prospect already on a rookie scale deal like a Duarte, like a Mitchell, and gotten to different places. And who knows, like, nobody's talking about Damian Lillard being, 6 years old or 4 years older than whoever his constituents were, right, in his class. Like, no one's talking about that because he's a star now. And that's my point. I feel like we put too much stock into the 18, 19-year-old. Oh, he has a lot of upside because he's young, when in fact, I think that's not true. And it happens almost every single year in the draft.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at it. Look, man, it's really good to draft good players, right? Just good
Exactly.
basketball players.
100%. 100%.
I think the Grizzlies do like a good job of that with some of their guys like Tillman and Bain and
Yep.
yeah, man. There's they're safer picks, and sometimes when you just take the good basketball player, you take the good basketball player, and it works out well for you.
Cam
Sure.
Thomas, co-MVP, guy's a bucket, microwave scorer, same as James Bouknight, right? Jalen Green. I would say all three of those guys are in that realm of just three-level scorers. They can do it at a high level. His biggest thing was, can he play make? Can he defend? And we don't know that yet, but we know he can do one thing. And on a team that will pretty much only need that one thing coming off the bench, he's set up to succeed, right?
Yeah, I think so, man. That guy's a bucket getter. Two guys that were really high on him before the draft, my guy Pierre from Through the Wire and Rashad Phillips of Sports Talk 2319, they were saying for a long time that this guy's the best scorer in the draft, and they seem to be right when we're looking at Summer League, right? Super bucket getter. I just hope he gets his opportunity. There's going to be times during the season where either Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie, 1, 2, or 3 of them are going to be sitting out, and he's going to get more opportunity, and he's going to get buckets. The guy's a bucket getter. Can he understand defensive systems and all that stuff? That remains to be seen. But hey, put him. It's the Bones Highland thing. You put him on any court in the world, he's going to score the basketball.
So who would you say was the biggest slept-on player in this summer league?
Oh man, like slept on in terms of going into the.
Yeah, I mean, we had our all summer league first team. We had Jalen Johnson, Davion Mitchell, Trey Murphy.
Hey, Atlanta got two guys that were kind of slept on. I mean,
facts.
What, Sharif from 48?
Yeah, like.
I mean, I was surprised. I definitely had Sharif in my first round, and
me
Jalen
too.
was a guy. Yeah, Jalen was a guy that was just slept on because of his decision he made at Duke, not really his game.
Yeah, so it was Jalen, Davion, Trey Murphy, who I love, by the way. He killed it. Peyton Pritchard, Jalen Smith, who I wasn't very high last year, but apparently he had a good summer league. Cam Thomas and Obi Toppin. Out of all those names, is there a player that stands out that didn't make it?
You mean that didn't make that team right there?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, but he didn't play much, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey, like, if you walked into the gym, you would say right away that this guy is, like, on a different level than everybody on the court. He made it look easy.
I know you're high on him, and I saw your story about him or Emmanuel Quickly. Who do you think is a better player?
Maxey to me.
Okay.
But
why?
I knew there was a lot of New York bias.
For sure.
Yeah. I just think he's.
I clicked on Quickly, but yeah, like it's not crazy to say Maxey's better either. Like it's super close to me.
Yeah, it is close. It is close. I think Tyrese Maxey will end up being the better player. I think he's a little bit more complete as a scorer and a little bit more under control than Emmanuel Quickly.
I agree with that.
A little bit more pace and poise, and just I could see him helping a playoff team more than Emmanuel Quickly. Not saying Emmanuel Quickly can't, because I think he will eventually, but I think Quickly has a little bit more to work on. I think this is a good way to put it. I think Quickly's game is a little bit younger, if that makes sense, and I don't even know who's older.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So you said something about Jalen Johnson that's interesting to me. You pretty much said because of his decision at Duke. Do you think that was the biggest thing? Because he had some glaring weaknesses to me that were I mean, again, like character issues. You know, sometimes you might slip, but if you truly think that he's that gifted and he's a freshman and he has the age and GMs love 6'9" and all that type of tweaker forward. Why did he fall, so much? Like 20 spots is a lot if it's just, his decision at Duke.
Yeah, people don't like that. And I recorded a podcast. I don't think it came out yet, but my guest said that, like, Coach K has a lot of influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big part of
interesting.
it. Yeah. Look, he doesn't have just a lot of influence when it comes to college basketball. He's coached, the USA team multiple times. So everybody's talking to him.
He was blacklisted?
We'll see. But look, Let me ask you this: what's his weakness compared? And me and you are really high on Scottie Barnes. It's kind of the same weakness, right? Like we didn't think he could shoot. I mean, he's a big playmaker who could play in transition. I think Scottie Barnes is a better player, but I don't know if Jalen Johnson, who is somewhat of that kind of mold, like a big playmaking forward, should fall that deep in the draft.
Similar, right? Like similar playmaking. Again, like he's like a tier under from all his skill sets, like
100%.
playmaking, just feel like
100%.
those are the
I would
things.
say one thing though.
Yeah,
definitely Scottie Barnes better feel. Scottie Barnes more versatile defender. Scottie Barnes better passer.
Yeah.
Scottie Barnes has that energy that makes a team better. All that stuff. I would say Jalen Johnson is a little bit lighter on his feet in terms of jumping and athleticism and getting off the floor.
You think so?
But yeah, Scottie. Yeah. Like just like in transition, rising up over the rim. Yeah, he's pretty damn athletic. Not saying Scottie Barnes isn't. Scottie Barnes is a better prospect, but I just don't think that Jalen Johnson should have slipped that deep. I think they're of the same mold. He's like I don't want to say poor man's version. What do they say now these days to make it politically
Walmart
correct?
version.
Yeah, there you go. Walmart version.
It's kind of nice, and it gives you credit.
Do you see that a little bit? Like I'll ask.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I see a guy that's under him in terms of like similar qualities, I would say, but again, we're talking about the NBA, right? It's this little bit that makes all the difference in like you going, 5 or you going 20. Like people like. I covered the G League years back in Reno when I was going to school over there, and I would look at the talent. And I was like, how the hell is this dude not in the NBA? And I came to the conclusion that it was because some of these guys were mature enough, mentally and professional enough to be at the NBA level, but they were definitely skilled enough. And when you just see these basketball players, you're like, damn, like. That guy should be in the league. I mean, we have guys like Haslam, like Anthony Tolliver, still making NBA rosters. Why?
I mean, these guys. To be totally honest with you, I mean, these guys are coaches at this point.
But you're not paying Haslam $2.7 million to be a coach. Come on, bro. That is ridiculous. When a guy like Isaiah Thomas, but a guy like Isaiah Thomas is literally not out there playing right now.
Leo, that's exactly what they're doing, though. You know what I mean?
What?
They're paying him 2.7 to be a coach. That's what they're doing.
Rather than having an actual NBA talent on the roster to push you in practice to make you better, that's ridiculous.
You might be right. It might be ridiculous, but that's what's happening.
What the? We gonna pay Haslam, who should have been retired 6 years ago, like almost $3 million, man?
Hey,
come on.
Not the Kings, right?
Oh my God, I would be pissed, man.
Hey, what if Jason Williams or Vlade? Well, Vlade was actually higher. He was still on the team, right?
Yeah, he was getting paid that, but he was making decisions. No. Who do you think was the best coach at Summer League?
Oh man, Bobby Jackson.
That's fair. I mean, did you expect the Kings to win it?
Right, Bobby Jackson. He's going to be a G League coach, right? He's going to be their G League head coach. See, look at me tapped into the Kings, man, and the whole system. You see me out here.
Facts.
But yeah, man, Bobby Jackson. He won the championship. Nobody thought the Kings were going to win.
Yeah,
guys like me weren't as high on Davion Mitchell than everybody else, so he proved me wrong. Shouts to Bobby Jackson, man, and he was a really great player, an underrated player.
So you watched the game last night, right? Like, just a little bit. What did you think of Louis King?
Oh, well, I've seen actually Louis King work out at a pro day. I mean, he's a super skilled size, and he has great size for the NBA. Yeah, I like him, man. It's just the thing with guys like that is just like they're guards, but how do I put this?
He's a guard, but he's really a wing in the NBA. He's like a 3-4.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're almost like tweeners in a league that we shouldn't even say tweeners anymore because it's positionless.
Yeah.
But I could see why that's the reason that a team wouldn't put him on the roster because he's kind of like that tweener mold, But he's skilled. He has size. He plays hard. I mean, he's a good basketball player, like IQ. I like him.
And what did you think of Jalen Suggs? I thought I was so impressed by just everything he did. Like, to me, I love Bouknight. I love Scottie Barnes. I love Davion. But he is my present favorite to win Rookie of the Year?
Oh, well, I mean, as you said, you're a guy that likes good basketball players right away. So, I mean, he fits that mold. Jalen Green,
100%.
I think Jalen Green has the higher ceiling, obviously, but Suggs is a good basketball player right now. Not saying Jalen Green isn't, but the guy is just a good basketball player, a leader, a winner. And you see what he does on defense. He might come into the league as one of the better guard defenders right off the bat. We'll see.
Yeah, just that game-winning block. I'm not sure if you were there for that game. Watching that live and just the heads up and
I was there.
and just
actually.
the IQ, the feel to like make that play. It's rare when a guard can do something like that, right? It was amazing watching that, bro.
No, Jalen Suggs, man, that was and I think he was picked at the right spot. A lot of people thought he should have went to Toronto. Me and you like Barnes, so. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Who is your favorite to win Rookie of the Year after watching Summer League?
Man, I think Cade Cunningham is going to be the better player first year, but I think Jalen Green has a great chance to win Rookie of the Year, maybe a better chance because he's going to get so many reps and I think he's going to put up a lot of points per game. So, and obviously he's super box office, probably even more than Cade, but I would say it's between those two. I would give the slight edge to Jalen Green.
Okay. So Jalen Green over Suggs and Cade, huh?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I think he's going to, Suggs is going to have to share that with a couple other guards. Even, Cole Anthony, he probably thinks he's the best player on that team, even though it's probably not the case. He's just one of those guys, which it's kind of like a gift and a curse, guys with those kind of mentalities. So I don't, Jalen, Suggs and Cade might be the better player, but I think Jalen Green's stats might be a little bit more gaudy, and he might be a little bit more box office.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing there. And then one last guy that I want to talk about is Trey Murphy. Again, another 6'9" guy. He had 6 3-pointers in his first game. The Pelicans traded in that first trade, which would jump-started the whole free agency period. What did you think about him and how he can play alongside a guy like Zion Williamson?
Yeah, you need floor spacers when it comes to Zion Williamson. I think he had really high percentages in college. I don't know if it was 50, 40, 90. He was 50, 40, 90.
Close to it, yeah.
Close to it. I really thought that they were going to go with Pelicans when they had that, closer to lottery. I thought they were going to go with Kispert for the floor spacing, but this is another guy that could space the floor, and they need that around Zion. Like, to build around Zion and Ingram, you need plus shooting and plus defending. It's not that difficult to realize that. So I think it was a great pick for the Pelicans. I think they're going in the right direction, and I think they'll play better this year, man. I'm hoping they do at least. So
one last question before I let you go, because I know that you have to record your own podcast right now at 7. But
it's somebody else's, but yeah.
Perfect. You mentioned, and obviously this is Kings related. You mentioned the fit, right? The fit with Davion, Tyrese, and Fox.
Oh, you gotta let Kings Nation know how high it was on Tyrese. We've talked about this.
Oh, for sure. Like you love Tyrese. Like you love Tyrese, but. Perkins is obviously like a household name now.
Tell me what Perkins is saying, man.
Just that. Like Davion's a stud, and just giving out like cryptic, tweets like, and then they'll have to make a decision later. And people are like, what do you mean I have to make a decision later? And the thing is with the NBA, we see plenty of 3-guard lineups all over the league. We saw plenty of 3-guard lineups last year with the Kings, and the year before with Bogdanovich, Buddy, and Fox. Last year, Tyrese, Buddy, and Fox. Why wouldn't, what's the difference between that and a Davion, Tyrese, and Fox now, where, if anything, you get better defensively, you get an extreme competitor, and a guy that shot 45% from beyond the arc in college, and who actually shot above 40% in summer league? Why wouldn't that work, especially in secondary actions where he doesn't have to have the ball necessarily? If you give Davion Mitchell a live dribble to take on a bigger guy who will probably be guarding him, he's going to blow by him, attack the paint, collapse it, and then kick out to whoever. It's crazy to me that there's a fit argument now. Put the best players on the court, bro.
Well, yeah, no, to your point, I think Davion is going to finish games. I think it just, people look at it as the compound effect. Do you have 5? Can you guard anyone? Can you guard everyone, right? And I think when you have 3 smaller guys on the court, They just feel like it's not as switchable as having maybe a real traditional three on the court and a guy. The NBA loves the 3-and-D wings, and when you have those type of guys, I don't think Tyrese really fits that mold as a three. And then both those guys, I think, are better
defensively, or what are you saying? Because Tyrese is a great safety out there. He's a great off the ball defender. Not great on the ball. He's not great like Davion on ball, but off the ball, he's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a little bit small defensively, but Davion could make is Davion going to be able to guard some 6'5", 6'6" guys with his motor and his effort? We'll see. I think it could happen. It's a question and I'm not going to be the guy that it's just summer league because I was really impressed. But the NBA is a higher level, and we'll see. And on offense, there is two legit point guards. I think Davion is a legit point guard, right?
To me, he's more of a 2, but yeah.
Is he okay? Then if you think he's more of a 2, then
because I don't think he's a good passer. I think he still has a lot of improvement to make that the higher end read offensively, especially in the pick and roll. He started to make it towards the end of summer league, I would say, but it's not at Tyrese's level. It's not at Fox's level. So why not allow him in year 1 to focus on defense and to focus on scoring the ball with the live dribble? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well, I think that everybody always looked at Davion as a point guard, and I think even
that's because he's short though.
Well, yeah, I think some of the best point guards in the NBA aren't the greatest passers. We're seeing centers being the point guards at this point, right? I just think that when people saw Davion coming into the league, they didn't really think of him as a 2 guard. And they even thought shooting was going to be an issue at one point, even though it doesn't look like that to be the case. So we'll see, man. I hope for you. I like him as a player. I don't think it's the greatest fit, but, I think we're in agreement that I thought Bouknight was probably a better fit. But if they felt Davion was best available at the point, best available is always great. So we'll see what develops.
So one last thing. You don't think Tyrese gaining an extra 10 pounds this offseason can guard threes when he's 6'6"?
Oh, man. Is Tyrese 6'6" now?
Yeah.
Did he grow?
Yeah.
I thought he was 6'5".
Yeah, 6'6".
He's a great help defender. He's so smart on defense.
Great help defender, yeah. Just a romer, just a safety out there.
That guy, talk about elite feel. Tyrese Haliburton has elite feel.
Elite.
That guy was just hooper right off the bat. I love everything about his game, and I think his ceiling is higher than a lot of people think as well.
For sure.
He's going to make a few All-Star games, in my opinion, as he gets later on in his career. Maybe not this year, but I hope so, man. Maybe Tyrese is just that good that he's just going to make it work at any position. 1 through 5, man. Go Tyrese.
Yeah, so Tyrese, to me, what's going to make, right, he's already a good player, but what's going to make him an all-star is his off-the-dribble shooting, right? He showed signs of it last year.
Jump shot is a little.
Right,
yeah.
But so can he consistently hit that shot? And I think he was very aware of that going into the offseason, and that's one of his main, points of concern in terms of working on that. And if he ever hits that consistently, he's gonna be an all-star, bro. Just no doubt in my mind.
That's interesting because they said that, and I thought that actually I was the only one who thought this, and I was talking about it pre-draft last year. And LaMelo looks like he's going to be the better player, but I felt like those two were a lot closer together in prospects than a lot of other people felt. They kind of had the same weaknesses. They were both great passers. Tyrese was the better defender. I kind of thought those prospects were a little bit closer than other people thought. LaMelo was the better passer, but Tyrese is a great passer. So, but both their weaknesses was ISO scoring and shooting off the dribble. So those are, LaMelo and Tyrese could both get better at that.
So Tyrese is already a better shooter than LaMelo. He's not as flashy as LaMelo, but the result's the same. You know what I'm saying? He makes guys better. So for people and I get it, it's LaMelo Ball, most popular one, most popular guys. But as you said, thank you for admitting that. They're extremely close.
I thought so. I thought so pre-draft.
No, they're extremely close now. Literally, what is the biggest what's the biggest difference?
I guess LaMelo has this kind of the it factor type of thing.
And Tyrese doesn't?
No, I'm with you, man. I like Tyrese.
That's crazy to me. No, I just think people are prisoners of the moment, and they get caught up on House of Highlights, ESPN highlights. They see LaMelo, but they don't see Tyrese. But basketball people know that there isn't that big of a difference between those two guys right now. There isn't.
I I don't think there's a huge difference. I think just LaMelo has. Let me put it like this way: LaMelo has the ability to make something out of nothing a little bit better than Tyrese. But Tyrese could do some things better than LaMelo, man. Like he could shoot it. Both their weaknesses is ISO scoring. They're not that far apart, man. Like I'm not mad at you for saying that. And LaMelo got a lot better on defense than he was in Australia. But Tyrese is definitely he's more aware defender than LaMelo. So we'll see how it goes, man. Like sky's the limit for Tyrese.
Well, that's gonna do it, y'all. Where can people find you, brother?
Oh, Combos Court, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio. On Instagram, you can find me at 12combo, and Twitter, man, I've been a little bit more active on Twitter. The following's not as big, but I've been enjoying my engagement on Twitter and just talking to everybody. That's Combos Court, COMBOSCOURT. Leo, thanks for having me on. It was great chopping it up with you in person at Summer League. And I hope to be back on the show soon, man. This was a great conversation.
So what projects are you working on right now that we should look forward to?
I should have a draft podcast with Raphael Barlow coming out soon.
Love that guy.
Draft Junkies. We recorded it yesterday. Hope to get it out today or tomorrow. And that's basically on my next episode.
What was the biggest takeaway from that episode? Kind of like preview it.
Oh, well, he really, like, I asked him at the end of the episode what was his biggest takeaway, and it was Kuminga. And we didn't even talk about Kuminga.
Oh, we didn't think about Kuminga.
Right, and it's funny because on my podcast, we didn't talk about Kuminga at all, and I asked him his biggest takeaway, and he mentions Kuminga. I'm like, yo, that's a pretty good take right there.
Perfect situation for him. Perfect situation for him.
And I tweeted this. The way he gets off the floor, I saw one block. It was elite, man. He gets off the floor super quick. Sky's the limit for him. And I think Moses Moody is I didn't talk about this with Raphael, but I think his ceiling is higher than people think. Like, he's athletic, he could shoot, he could defend, he's smart. So I liked what the Warriors was. But yeah, it was a great conversation with Raphael, and I hope to put that out soon.
There it is, y'all. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to help us out, please leave a review on iTunes, and always like all our videos, man. It helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, helps it out, push it out to more people to get more eyeballs. Again, we're growing this basketball zone community. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.